about finding information and finding good information, okay? And we're gonna talk about, we're trying to learn about what a utopia is. You're going to be reading a story that you need to understand what a utopia is. So the first thing that we think of to do when we want to know what something is what? We go to Google, right? We go to Google, we type in our word. Let's make sure we're on here. Utopia. Okay, so look at what comes up when I type in utopia. Is that telling me what a utopia is? We've got Wikipedia, we've got a TV show, lots of stuff about a TV show. In fact, that's mostly what it is. It's either Wikipedia or it's this TV show, Facebook, oh my gosh. So how useful is this information here? What makes this not good information for me? Why, if I want to know what a utopia is, why is information about a utopia TV show not helpful? So it's not relevant, right? Not relevant at all to what I'm looking for. So that's the problem. What's the problem with Wikipedia? Why is Wikipedia not a good source? Anybody know? How does the information get to Wikipedia?
People.
What people? No, it's anybody. Can you go put in something in Wikipedia? Yes. I could go put something in Wikipedia. Anybody can enter information in Wikipedia. So how do I know when I'm looking at an article in Wikipedia that the information is any good? I don't, because I don't know who put it in or why they put it in. All right? I have my son's best friend in high school went in and put that he was the boyfriend. I don't remember who it was. Like Lindsay Lohan or somebody like that. It was a few years ago. And it was there for months. Clearly, he's never even met her. But it was out there.
I remember.
Do you remember that? Okay. I just read an article about a woman who put in information. Do you remember, how many know the book Amelia Bedelia? Any of you read the Amelia Bedelia books when you were a kid? It's a children's book. And this girl, when she was in college, she thought it would be really funny to go put in information about Amelia Bedelia. Said that it was about this maid in Africa who liked to wear funny hats. That's not what the book is about at all. There we go, Amelia Bedelia. And 5 years later.
You know me, I got to do it while I'm thinking about it or I'll forget. I got to turn in your wait forms by Friday, so if you haven't gotten that to Ms. Gonzalez in the office, please fill that out, turn it in. I'm not asking for huge donations back to asking for any, but $1, whatever. Turn your form in to Ms. Gonzalez today or tomorrow, por favor, because I got to get it turned in to the office. Thank you.
Okay, 5 years later, that information was still in Wikipedia. Is there good information in Wikipedia?
Yes.
Yes, lots of good information. Do you know which information is good or not?
No.
No, you're going to have to double check it. You're going to have to check somewhere else to make sure that it's accurate. So that's what makes Wikipedia not a good site, is that we can't trust it. We don't know if the information is good or not. You know that if you use Wikipedia, you're going to have to go somewhere else to double check, triple check the facts that are in there. Okay, first I'm going to show you is another way. Let me move this out of the way here. Still use Google, but to refine your search slightly. It's not amazing, but it does help a little bit. If you take the word define with a colon, so the word define, what does that mean? Tell you the definition. If we click on define colon utopia, you'll notice the very first thing that comes up is, let me move this over here, is a dictionary definition of utopia. So that's a nice start. You'll notice, though, that it's still, even though I put in the request for a definition, it's still bringing up what? Yeah, irrelevant information. Information that's not useful to me. So it's better, it's an improvement, it's still not great. So now I'm going to show you an even better way to find information like this. If we go to the Portales Municipal Schools website, so it's www.portaleschools.com, make sure you have both S's. On the right side of the page is a link to Alexandria. Alexandria is the catalog that we use for the library. So when you click on Alexandria, it asks you to choose your site. Where are we? We're at the junior high. So you can go here even at home. And if you're at home, you would click junior high because you're a junior high student. So we'll click on junior high, then you're going to click on researcher. This takes you to our catalog. So one thing you could do is you could actually look and see if there were any dictionaries or books that might have it in the library, if you were in the library. If you're home, go to links on the left side where it says tools. You're going to click on links. And El Portal Middle School. This is what we call a database from the state. The state pays for these databases. Does anybody know what a database is? If I talk about a database. Basically, a database is a collection of sources, information sources, made available in an online format. So in this case, we're going to use the Junior Edition. The Junior Edition is a collection of magazines, reference books like encyclopedias and dictionaries, and a few academic journals, which are like magazines but a little bit more, a little bit better. There's full text, all the information there, but it's available for you online. So instead of having to go all the way to the state library and look up that dictionary or that encyclopedia or that journal, you can actually access it right from here. So we click on, we had trouble with it loading last hour. I'm hoping it's going to load. That's what I was looking. This one is, but not. I'm on a different one. Oh, shoot. Okay, let me, I think what I'm going to do is actually just close it out and start over again. Well, let's make sure. Yeah, it's not loading.
What do we click on?
What is it supposed to look like?
Junior Edition.
Oh, this description says one for again. It's Alexandria.
Okay.
Right for junior high. After junior high.
Researcher. Then we go to links. In the middle school. And Junior Edition. I wonder why they have so much trouble with them. I mean, at my desktop at school, it just goes right there. Well, while this is loading and while we're trying to figure this out, let's talk for a minute about kinds of sources. Okay, this is important information for you anyway. We talked about Wikipedia. So Wikipedia is not helpful or not a good source. Why? Because you can't trust it. What about a Google search? What's the problem with a Google search? It's easy, right? What's the problem with it? Why is it not always effective? Oh, here we go. It's starting to load. Why?
Relevant.
Right. Google brings up lots of things. How does a Google search work? When I type in my word, how does it know what things to put at the top of my search? Because it brought up 78,000 different hits. So how come it chooses Fox, Fox channel, the TV show first? Why, do you know? Because a lot of people go to it. That's part of it. That's one of the things it looks at. What other people that have searched, which ones did they choose? So that's one reason. What else? Did you know that your past searches, so now you're logged into a Google account, did you know that your past searches will affect your next search? So if you like to do a lot of searches on entertainment, it's going to bring up those kinds of things. I once watched a guy, he and a friend did the same exact search on Egypt. And the one guy, it brought up all sorts of news about turmoil and things that were going on in Egypt, current events. The other guy, it brought up travel information. because one of them had been looking, he was getting ready to plan a vacation, so he kept doing searches on different vacation options. And so it assumed that that's why he was looking for Egypt. It was another destination. The other guy, on the other hand, was doing a lot of information. You know, he was doing searches on what was going on in the world, so it was focusing on current events. So the past searches you've done affect that next search. So if you do a lot of searching on, you know, you spend a lot of time on Facebook, you're doing a lot of social media stuff, you're doing a lot of IMDb, Internet Movie Database, one of my favorite sites, actually. That's going to affect your next search. Also, the computer you're on. So you might get different searches searching on your computer here than you get on your computer at home, or that you get on a public computer in like a library, because the searches that have been done on that specific computer affect the search results. Also, the location you are geographically. So if you search, we search something here in Portales, our results will be different than somebody searching in Lubbock or than somebody searching in Maine, even though we're using exactly the same terms.
Even in Africa, like I tried to look up stuff when we were over there, and it brings up everything like on the UK and Europe, and it's kind of not helpful.
Okay, it's sort of loaded it. Is that what you guys all look like?
So it's not within the HTML.
Mine hasn't even
Some
loaded.
of them.
Let me see if there is. I don't know.
So if yours is like that, scan it, just X out and try to go back in again. It's like it's not looking at the HTML section.
I'm going to try the student edition and see if that loads any better. The student edition is slightly better. Okay, so we just talked about our problems with Google. What's the problem with Google?
It's not reliable. Oh no, there's a lot of extra information.
Right, and you can't control. I think one of the problems with Google is that you as a searcher can't control how the search comes, what comes up first in your search. There's basically a machine that's making those decisions for you. Instead of you being able to go in and say, you know, I'm looking for this, and these are the kinds of results I want, it's very difficult to do that on Google. It's fast and it's easy, but it's not always very accurate. It's not very precise. That's the word I want. It's not very precise. It brings up tons and tons of stuff. Nobody's going to wade through all the pages that it brings up, right? You get like 50 million hits. You're not going to go through every single hit. You have to hope that the ones you want are on the first couple of pages. Sometimes they are, sometimes they're not. Gosh, this isn't working very well either. So much for being a greater spot. Okay, let's just try. I'm going to try one more time. Go to the junior edition. Okay, so the database is looking at, so remember, the database is not online things. It's not searching websites. It's searching print documents. So things that have been printed, like books, magazines, journals, newspapers. But it's put them in an online format to make it easier for you to find. So the things that you search here, you're not going to be able to find in a Google search because they won't be available. All right, I'm going to go ahead and just try typing Utopia in here and see what I get. See if it's enough loaded that we can. Most likely, if you are searching at home or if you're in the library, it's going to load all the way. The Chromebooks, I think, there's a problem. Okay, good. It's mostly there. So you'll notice on the left side, I'm going to go over here so I can point this out. It is grouping the results and it's telling you the kind of results that are coming up. So for instance, there are 27 magazines that talk about Utopia. And since I did a keyword search, I didn't do a subject search. A keyword search is looking for any articles or any information that the word Utopia is in. If I were to do a subject search instead of a keyword, a subject means that somebody is assigned and said, this article is about Utopia. So it only would bring up articles that were about Utopia, not articles that just happen to mention the word Utopia in there somewhere. See the difference? It's subtle, but there is a difference. Okay, so we have 27 magazines. We have 11 academic journals. Anybody know what an academic journal is? So an academic journal is like a magazine. And that it's something that comes, it has articles in it, and it comes maybe every month, sometimes every 6 months. But it's specific to, first of all, specific to an academic subject. Let me give you some examples. The New England Journal of Medicine. This is a journal that focuses on research in medicine, in health. In a magazine, so say you read an article in Sports Illustrated. Who is it written by? Is it written by somebody who specializes in sports and athletes? Maybe, but not necessarily, right? It's written by a reporter, a writer, who researches their topic and writes an article. So maybe they're researching the history of basketball in the professional basketball. And they researched it and they've written this article, and the editor has read through it, checked the facts, so it's pretty reliable. We know it to be pretty reliable. Academic journals take that step another step farther. So they have the writers who write on those topics in those academic journals are experts in that field. So the writers who are the writers in the New England Journal of Medicine? Are they reporters who have researched information about medicine to write? No, it's the scientists who are doing research on medicine. That's who writes the articles. So they've done research on a particular disease. They found this really amazing result, and they they write up their paper about it, and they submit it to the New England Journal of Medicine. What happens next? Before it goes to the editor, so in a magazine, it would go to the editor next. The editor would check it. In an academic journal, it goes to a group of people who are also experts in that field. So it goes to another group of researchers. And they read through that article and they check facts. They check to make sure that they follow the correct procedures. They make sure that everything lines up as the way it should be. And when they say, yeah, it's okay, then it goes to the editor. He does another check, and then it's published. So how accurate, how reliable do you think academic journals are?
90.
They're much, much higher. So we have sort of a schema. We start with the very bottom on reliability, Wikipedia, right? Nobody's checking the facts on it. There's good information there, but it's hard for us to know the difference between the good information there and the bad information there because nobody is checking it. Who really knows? If you're looking at something you don't know much about, you don't know for sure that the information's there. You can kind of say, well, Wikipedia says, but it might not actually be right. The next level then would be something like magazines and newspapers. We can usually trust what's in there. It's gone through at least one fact checking. Somebody's kind of checked their facts, make sure that everything's okay. Then that next level that would be academic journals, because now it's gone through at least 2 checks. Does that make sense? Okay. So magazines, academic journals, books. So we have, looks like 18 books. Books are going to be like academic journals. They're going to be checked before a book gets published. You have editors, you have readers that look through it, check facts, make sure everything's okay. There's time for them to sort of sit and get there. Newspapers have editors. They have quicker turnaround. Not as quite as strong in fact checking. They're going to be definitely below academic journal. And then it looks like there's 29 audio clips. What I actually want is we're going to click on books. Because this database has encyclopedias and dictionaries, and that's really all I want. I want something a little maybe more in-depth than a dictionary definition of utopia, but I don't need a whole book, I don't need a whole big long article on utopia. I just want a nice, short, brief, concise on what a utopia is. So here's my list. There's 18 different ones. The first line, this right here, is the name of the article or the chapter. So utopia. The next line tells me what the book comes from, where it comes from. So the first one is Utopia. The second one is the Columbia Electronic Encyclopedia. So this is not a book that's published. It's a book that's only available electronically, but it's been edited. It has an actual editor, unlike Wikipedia. Okay, tells me a little bit, tells me where it was published, how old it is, so it's pretty recent. 2013 is when it was written. And it tells me how long, 942 words. So it's about a page worth. Okay, so if I look down some of these others, I might think, well, I'm not quite sure what that has to do with utopia. So for instance, Sir Thomas More, he wrote a book called Utopia. That's why he comes up. There's an entry on him. There are the names of some other people that wrote about utopias or defined utopia. I'm going to go to this first one because that looks like the best source, don't you think? You got a nice encyclopedia source on what a utopia is. If it loads. Anybody know what a utopia is?
No. Society.
Society. That's good. It is a society. What kind of society? What? Vague, imaginary, possibly. That is one component, but only because the quality of it. Oh, please load. Yes, exactly. That's exactly what a utopia is. Right. A utopia is a perfect society. Have any of you ever seen a perfect society?
No.
So what would a perfect society be like? But what would it be like?
Everything's made out of gold.
It is made out of gold. That might be one. That could be a perfect. So are all perfect societies going to be the same?
No.
Not necessarily. Okay. What else? What else would we expect to see in a utopia?
Nice people.
Nice people. So there's going to be no criminals, right? How about no poor? Are there going to be people who are poor?
No.
No, we're not going to see anybody that's poor in a utopia, right? Anybody that, what else might we expect to see?
Lamborghinis, everything.
Lamborghinis. Everybody has a Lamborghini. Why do you think we've never seen, why, has there ever been a utopia?
No. Yes.
What do you think?
I don't think so. Maybe back there.
Why do you think, okay, so certainly if there has been one, there haven't been very many, right?
Yes.
There's not very, why? Why do you think there haven't been very many?
Because there's not enough people to, I don't know, there's not enough people that believe in utopian society.
How difficult do you think it is to achieve a perfect society?
Very
You have to work very
It takes a lot of money.
How do we tend to react, or how do we tend to act around people? Are people themselves perfect?
No.
Right. So people themselves are not perfect. So it's very difficult to rely on a society, that everybody's going to be doing exactly what they're supposed to be doing to create a perfect society. Could be boring. I don't know why this isn't loading. So much for my great site. Ugh. Okay, so if a utopia then is a perfect society, what do you think a dystopia might be?
Awful society.
Okay, why? Okay, what? That's very good. Why do you say that? What makes you think it might be different? So utopia versus dystopia.
This, because this means like, I don't know. This means different. Yeah. No, like, this means like.
Right, it's sort of like an un. You guys are doing perfect. That is exactly the thing. So we've taken the word utopia and we've broken it apart. We've got utopia and we've got dystopia. And we know that utopia is a perfect society. So, and we know that this, when we put this in front of things, a lot of times it means the opposite of, or it means bad, actually. Not really the opposite of, but a lot of times it means, something is bad. So a dystopia, you guys are using deductive reasoning to determine that a dystopia is probably a really bad society. It's a society that's fallen apart, that hasn't succeeded. Have we ever seen dystopias?
Yes.
Yes.
Very.
Yeah, we actually have, right? I think we're living in one right now.
Yes.
Kind of.
Kind of.
Yes.
Okay.
Pretty crazy. Compton.
Yeah, like Compton.
Have you ever been there? What's happening in Compton right
Then,
now? Like overseas.
oh yeah.
Have you ever seen it?
Yeah, like bombing and wars and
Wars, holy wars.
of people that are starving to death. They live in
Just think a little bit more culturally when you guys on that book.
less death too. It's kind
Kind of like the world is coming.
what is it up, right?
I'm trying it one more time, see if we can get in there. I'm sorry, guys, but this is one of the issues of technology, right?
Yes.
Sometimes it's great.
This is one of the disadvantages.
There you go.
So a disadvantage, very good. Hey, look, this is what it's supposed to look like. Yes.
Awesome.
Did you see that?
Hey, you had to double tap.
I have that.
Okay. Books. All right, so here we go. We have an article about the utopia. It tells us that it comes from the title of a book by Sir Thomas More. Remember, we saw that list in there. That was published in Latin in 1516. How many years ago is that?
A lot.
So he's the one that basically created the word utopia. It comes from the Latin, and it means a perfect society. And he wrote this book. He said the work pictures an ideal state where all is ordered for the best of humanity as a whole and where the evils of society, such as poverty and misery, have been eliminated. So because he wrote this book about an imaginary place called utopia, we now use that word utopia to describe any perfect society that might exist. And then the article goes on to talk about sort of how our idea of what a utopia might be has changed. So sometimes, what we think of something as being a perfect society is not necessarily the same as what Sir Thomas More thought back in 1516 as a perfect society. Our ideas have changed a little bit over that. And he talks about some of the other people who wrote about utopias. So all of these, and you'll notice there's links. So if you were curious and you wanted to know about these other ideas of utopia, you could click on them and it would take you to links about that. So you can get a lot more information. They also talk about satirical utopias. What is satire? Anybody know? You ever heard of satire? We're out of time. So satire is making fun. So basically, a satirical utopia would be a utopia that doesn't really, that they're writing it like a utopia, but they're actually making fun of things that are going on now.
Mythical.
It's a political satire. Usually, it's making it's comedy, and it's making fun of what's going on. All right, if we were to do the same thing on dystopia, oops. Okay, remember where we've got on the side, we've got magazines, we've got academic journals, we've got books, news, images, and audios. Just for fun, I want to go to magazines because dystopia is a really popular subject right now. There's some very famous movies lately that have come out that are about dystopias. Does anybody know what they are? Let's see. Let me see if it shows. I was hoping if I went to new magazines. Or am I not? Yeah, I'm in magazines. Divergent. Hunger Games.
Oh, man.
Yes, those are dystopias, right? They're not perfect societies. They're problems of society. The Maze Runner.
Oh, that's scary.
Matched is another. It's a book. It's not a movie yet, but all of these. Ender's Game actually would be a kind of dystopia as well. All of those are dystopias. So that's why we wanted. It helps to know what a utopia and a dystopia is, because actually right now there's a lot of talk about what is a dystopia. And I like that in a lot of dystopias, like The Hunger Games or Divergent, especially Divergent, it appears to be a utopia until you get down into it, and then you realize life is not, it's not a utopia, it's actually a dystopia. It seems really nice and everything's perfect, but underneath we realize it's not perfect. There's a lot of problems. Okay, any questions about what we've covered? Any questions about how to find better sources for information, finding the answers? I don't know, do you want to use this with them, or I don't know.
Well, yeah, I guess it's really not. Hey, and at one of the stations, that may be what you need to do. Like I asked you to get on Alexandria and look up an academic journal based on a certain topic. So you've got to make sure that you're able to navigate to that page, you know where you need to go. It starts to become second nature for you guys. Get away from always just automatically defaulting to Google. Think about your topic. Am I researching something academic, or is it just something like travel, or something a little bit more random? And try to decide, make that decision. Should I use Alexandria or should I use Google? What's going to be my best bet? What's going to help me the most academically? Okay. Now, you have got to remember, we still have a minute and 46 seconds. Okay, now, it is imperative that you log off of the Chromebook. So, if you don't know, try to figure it out. Let's see what you can think. Is that the camera? You need a tripod? Or no? Okay, never mind. The arts. Anyone? No, what's your group's camera number? It's on your paper. Make sure that you have logged out all the way so someone else can't log back in, please.
I wish I knew why sometimes it's